Well, welcome back. As we mentioned earlier, the city of Peoria will not get into the water business at least for another 5 years. But what does that mean for the future of the city's finances? Which is why City Manager Patrick Urich joins me now. Thanks for joining me. First, let's talk about last night. Two choices were made. First, the council decided against moving forward and possibly looking into a buyout of the water company.
Correct.
But before that, the city council actually voted 6-5 in favor of taking on the contract by the CEO council that had gotten up to $700,000 to pay for researching that, but it was deemed that that wasn't enough. They needed 8 votes. Can you explain that to people in that case where you have a city council that voted 6-5, but that wasn't enough last night?
So the contract required the city to do some things in this calendar year. We would have to, what we would have had to have done was to start to hire attorneys, engineers, accountants to start the process. So if it required us to do something in this year, under Illinois law, any contract that a city government would have to execute has to have an appropriation behind it. The appropriation requires a supermajority vote because we did not have that money in the budget.
Supermajority being 8.
A supermajority being 8. So that required the 8 vote requirement. That did not happen, even though the question was split. By state law, that action was deemed null and void, and so that was the reason why that contract didn't pass, the agreement didn't pass, and we went back to the original motion, which was that it required 8 votes, and ultimately that was overturned.
All right. So, and to be clear too, when that didn't get 8 votes to accept the offer from the CEO council, and then the council decided to not go forward with moving it, they could have decided to move forward and then maybe revisited the CEO council deal as well, correct?
They could have. I mean, a majority had already said that they were willing to support the CEO council contract. That majority could have said that they were willing to buy the water company, and then they could have come back and revisited the contract at a later date. So that's certainly something that was a plausible outcome that could have happened. But I think because there were no dollars that were attached to that, I don't think that there was the desire to move forward with the purchase at that time. So ultimately, only 3 council members supported the purchase of the water company at, with no money coming in for that. So I think that was the reason, probably, that the others didn't vote for it at the time.
All right. Well, to kind of move forward but not to be lost,
sure.
The city still faces a $6 million budget deficit for next year. And then last night, after all of that, you still had to give a kind of a breakdown of some possible solutions. What are some of the things that the city is going to have in front of them that the council will have to vote for in order to kind of limit that and balance that gap? So
we did. We had a $6 million budget gap plus a requirement that we needed to put more money into fund balance. So it's really, all told, it was about $7 million. And the budget proposes $3 million of new revenue. We're looking at a packaged liquor tax. We're looking at raising some revenues for out-of-city emergency medical services when people get into accidents inside the city, that we would build our insurance. And then we're also looking at a public safety pension fee, and it's modeled on the city of Danville. They put this in place to help to fund pensions, and it's just a flat fee per parcel that covers both property tax paying and non-property tax paying parcels that have structures on them, and they would pay to contribute towards public safety pension costs, both police and fire. On the expense side, we were looking at reducing about $4 million out of the budget and cutting that out of the budget, and that includes the recommendation that we would shut down 2 fire machines, and Rescue 2 and Engine 2. That we would consolidate Station 4 and Station 8 on the south side into one new fire station. We would hold 6 police officer positions vacant for the year. And then we would make some other adjustments throughout some of the other departments in order to balance the budget. Council will be taking that up next Monday night. They'll be talking about it at that time, and you know, we'll be getting into the budget deliberations here in November, hard and heavy.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people paying attention to that because the city, at some point, I mean, you got to figure out where that money is going to come from or where it's going to go. So, as always, City Manager Patrick Urich, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
All right. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.